private and public sector, and at least in my experience in working in both of them, are very mission driven. And those missions look a little bit different wherever you are, but I think that mission-driven piece is really important. It's important about who I am as an educator, and therefore I felt I fit in both worlds pretty well. I think that in some ways the private sector, that especially Edgewood where I was maybe because of size and organizational structure, able to be pretty flexible and nimble in terms of how they responded to the community needs, which was their mission. And I know that Madison is a bigger organization, and I know the layers that are there too. So I think it would be my goal to help us become a little more nimble in that way. And yet at the same time, the wonderful diversity and resources that are available in public education are outstanding. And whether we're looking at private education or public education, I think we're looking at public education as the vision for our country's future. So whether you're coming at it through the private education angle lens or the public education angle lens, we're looking at educating a populace to ensure the future of our country.
For those who don't know you, explain, who are you?
Well, my husband and I came to Madison 37 years ago for a program that should have lasted 6 weeks. But obviously we loved it. It was a post-grad program at UW and connected with the schools. So we got to know the Madison schools then, and we decided to stay here, and we've been here ever since. We both have worked in the district, and I was a teacher, a principal, and then I retired as the assistant superintendent for elementary schools. And of course, I didn't really retire. In the time span that I've been away from the district, I've still been very involved as the Dean of the School of Education at Edgewood, and we have had lots of communication with the district around student teachers and professional development. And I also worked on a grant for the Wallace Foundation that was to the Department of Public Instruction. And with that, I actually worked with principals in the 6 largest school districts, so Madison was one of those. So I've definitely stayed in connection with Madison. So in some ways I feel like I'm coming home.
You have you've left a good job, obviously, over at Edgewood College for a district that I'm sure you well know has been in the news lately. It's of course there's been some controversy surrounding things like the achievement gap. Why would you leave a position to come over here?
Well, I just have to say I'm very excited about implementing the academic achievement plan. I have followed it as a community member and obviously as a professional at Edgewood, because it certainly impacts how we prepare teachers. And so I kind of followed the development of the plan last year, and I think there's some really excellent pieces of the plan, and I'm really excited to implement that. So that, along with my commitment to the community in the district, at this point in time, I feel like I am someone who would not have to spend a lot of time getting to know the district. And quite honestly, I don't think we can wait for that. I think this is not going to be a year of standing still. It's going to be a year of really moving toward reaching the goals of closing the achievement gaps, really implementing practices and programs for all of our students, no matter what their current achievement levels. And the superintendent search is obviously a big thing, and then creating the employee handbook. So there are many things that aren't going to wait for somebody who would have to really have time to get to know the district. So that's really why I stepped in.
At the same time, you know the district well, so you know that there are a lot of moving parts here. That Madison is a place that everybody wants to weigh in on what this district should be going forward. And there's a strong teachers union, of course, too, who wants to weigh in. How are you going to be able to bring all those moving pieces together to really move forward?
Well, you know, first of all, I think that is an exciting thing about Madison. Our community is very engaged and involved in education in all of its aspects, and I think that's great. I think that while that is a challenge, it's also a strength. So I think it would be much harder to work in a situation where there wasn't that kind of commitment. So it's going to be a challenge to make sure that all voices are heard, and and then, you know, that we can actually take steps to move forward. I've been having meetings with principals and central office staff, and have actually had a chance to be out in some of the schools talking to a few teachers at summer school. So I really know that there is a lot that's already gotten started. So I think that it will be a challenge to communicate. I think that's one of my strengths and one of the things that I can bring to this process.
I was here in this very room when the school board said about a month and a half ago that they were really looking for somebody to come in as an interim and mind the ship, and they were going to, you know, essentially not make drastic changes but move forward. Are you good at minding the ship, or are you going to want to make some changes?
I will be making a few changes, and I already have a few things in the works, but those changes will be made in a very mindful way. I'm kind of looking at this as short-term changes for the long-term good. So I would not do anything that would drastically impede someone else coming in. At the same time, I think there are a few changes that need to be made so that we can have a year of constant growth and moving ahead.
Like what?
Well, one of them is I'm kind of reorganizing a little bit so that some people are reporting directly to me who were not in the current organizational scheme, reporting directly to the superintendent. And basically that is just for the fact that this will be a year. I'm not going to have time to, you know, move through steps of the organization. I really I'm going to need that communication directly with myself. And so it's just kind of flattening things out a little bit so that I'll have direct access to the information that I think I need.
Over the next year, obviously the search for the full-time superintendent is going to be a big deal. Do you want the job full-time?
Let me just say this. I think the job is a great job, and I think it is something, it's a job that we will attract great talent to, and that's kind of my role. I want to represent this position as one that will be a challenge to someone with the talents for the position, but I have made it pretty clear at the beginning I really wanted the position for a year, and I think that's where I still stand.
You're going to be here for a year, but everyone knows that, and they're going to be reporting to somebody new this time next year. Do you see any challenges along with that?
Well, I think there might be some challenges, but I honestly, as I've been doing my entry plan, I hear that people are really still ready to move. They're very energized around the achievement plan work, and they've already invested a lot in it. So those are some of the things that won't change, and so I think that'll keep everybody's energy going in the right direction.
Do you see that achievement gap, or is it something else which might be the biggest challenge that you'll need to try to implement over the next year?
I think my biggest goal lies in making progress in the classroom. And so I think whether that's through the academic achievement plan or some other avenue that is yet unknown, I think really we have to be about moving our students ahead on all measures. And at the end of the day, at the end of this year, that's what I would like to see. And I know that a lot of other things need to be accomplished, but I would really like to see all of our students better on every measure.
Your predecessor, Dan Nerad, mentioned something similar to me when he left, that whether you're a high achiever, you should be moving forward, or if you're a low achiever, we should bring you up to speed and move you forward as well. Talk a little bit about that in the context of how you can help make that a priority and a goal and ultimately accomplish it.
I think one of the things I bring to this position is a strong instructional background. As a teacher, I was a reading specialist. I taught at higher ed as well as K-12. I was an administrator, so I really understand what leadership is about in the schools. And really, my time since I left Madison has been focused on effectiveness in schools, whether it's from the teacher point of view or the principal leadership point of view. I just think I bring a strong knowledge in that area that, given the plans that have already been developed with the talent that we have in the district, I think that I bring that energy to move those instructional pieces forward.
How do you think that this school district has changed since you left it the past time?
In 7 years? Well, we were already seeing a huge growth in our English second language population when I was here. I think the diversity has grown, obviously, since that time. I think that one thing that I feel is, and I'm very happy about this and pleased about this, I think that our community organizations have come into play in a much tighter and richer way around the school district. And we've always had some very strong community partners, but I think we have more of those now than when I was here before. So I'm really looking forward to working with those community partners. They play a huge key role in the success of our students.
Are you fully unpacked now, or is there more to go?
Actually, I'm fully unpacked. I brought in the last box today and put books on, well, actually they're on the table, not on the shelf, but they will be on the shelf soon. So yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm having a farewell party at Edgewood, and that's today, so I'm looking forward to seeing my friends over there. But I've been in business here for 9 days, so